Dancing to my own little dance. I don't know. It's my own little dance. Like,
Hello and welcome to this week's Lunchbox TV review of the Falcon and Winter Soldier. The episode title is The Whole World is Watching, and we didn't know what that would mean until the very end of the episode. I'm Alex, by the way. Joining me is Michelle.
hello.
And Lou.
Hello.
Now, let's get to it. What's the initial reactions? What did everyone think of this episode? And maybe last week's, because we missed the last week's review as well.
I can go first. Last week's episode was awesome, especially the end where we saw her name is Ao, I think. Ao. It was cool. In that scene when I saw the beads, I was really hoping it would be, Chadwick, but that would be probably too much for fans. And episode was really good, and this episode I think actually is even better. It gives us a better understanding of the mindsets of pretty much the major players, Carly, Zemo, and our boy John Walker. So this episode was amazing. They even toned down the humor, and it was perfect for this episode that actually almost had no humor. There was probably one or two jokes sprinkled in, but yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I agree. Last week's episode, I was very happy with. I thought it was so good. And then this week happened. And I'm like, forget last week. This week is the week. It feels like it all kicked off. And like, if this was a movie, this is the start of the climax, if that makes sense. It just feels really intense and so many things are happening. And this episode was spectacular. And it felt too short, even though it was long.
It's like the perfect start for a third act, right?
Okay. I'm going to be a little negative Nancy on last week's episode. It felt more like it just felt like a bridging episode, like just transition, getting all the players into place, and like now we know where everyone stands. Carly Morgenthau, she's like the villain / hero, like kind of like a gray area, but she does represent what having the serum means, like what having all this power ultimately means, that like you have to make these like bad decisions, and it wasn't bad, but we did get Zemo dancing, and that was like that was
it. That's all you needed in that episode.
I loved it. I got to use that fist bump once everything's back to normal. But this week's episode I thought was amazing. It was my favorite yet. The Dora Milaje showing up, having like a great fight. That's the other thing, like last week's episode was missing. Like every single episode had like this big action-packed scene, but last week was sort of like by the numbers, just like it didn't wow me. But this week's had like a few action sequences that wowed me. The Dora Milaje, like I mentioned, and the climax fight. But before we get to any of that, let's talk about the beginning of this week's episode with Io and Wakanda, and she's talking to Bucky. She actually helped Bucky overcome his brainwash at the hands of the Ruskies in the Winter Soldier program. So yeah, did everything go the way you guys thought? Like I did have a strong feeling that Io just wanted to see Zemo dead for killing King T'Chaka. Did you guys feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the episode last week, I was like, okay, why are they here? And then that's where I landed. And then seeing that happen, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But that opening sequence with Bucky hearing those words, that started this episode in such a meaningful way. Like it was so emotional already. Like just Sebastian Stan, that was just like so good. His reactions to the words and seeing him kind of tear up, and then that like relief but like stress look he had at the end, like I don't know how to describe what it was, that like kind of smile but he's like still crying, tore my heart out. And I just thought it was the perfect start to this episode because of how Lou had mentioned, it kind of moves away from the humor. It's a little bit, might I say, darker perhaps, And I thought that was a perfect introduction to this episode. Like that scene was just so beautiful. I loved it.
I agree 100% with what Michelle just said, and just to add a little bit that it's like getting a monkey off, Bucky's back, but unfortunately he has a few monkeys, but at least he's gotten the biggest monkey off his back. And it was a pretty powerful scene, and it's, see a handsome man crying always gets you.
Indeed.
Unpopular opinion about his handsomeness, which I'm just going to throw out there because I'm curious if people in the comments agree. Short hair Bucky doesn't do it for me. Long hair Bucky's better. If anyone agrees, let me know.
Really?
My friends mildly agree, but they also judge me a little with that statement. So I'm curious how the rest of the internet feels about it.
I mean, my perspective on Bucky's hair is that when he was Captain America's like dopey sidekick, he had like the short hair. He looked like a nerd in the comics. But when he showed up as Winter Soldier with the long hair, it's like, whoa, who's this badass? So seeing him back with short hair, it's like, nah, dude, let it grow. Let it grow.
The long hair is a vibe. Like it just works for his face.
I'm about to clean cut Bucky with a little scruff.
Teach their own.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, moving on to the next part of the episode, they are looking for Dora Milaje, Carly Morgenthau's, I guess, the mother figure in the refugee camp she was staying at. And we saw a bit of what makes each character kind of tick. Falcon, his softer, nice guy approach. Bucky with his weirdo hasn't talked to anybody in 80 years approach, and Zemo just a genius manipulator, and you keep seeing it come back. He's like, to me, he's like a human version of Loki. He's just genius through and through. But ultimately, Zemo did get the information everyone was looking for, but he kept it to himself. How did you guys like this?
I loved it. I love like Zemo's playing his little games, and even as an audience, you're kind of thinking of what exactly is his game plan here, because it's like he pointed to the kids, like, don't trust these two. These two are not to be trusted. But then he tells them anyway, like where Dora Milaje is. So it's like he's playing an angle, but he's also kind of just playing it safe for his end goal, which we don't know in the end. But early thoughts for me is like Thunderbolts, but really good scene. I'm starting to love Zemo more and more, and it's just not just for the
I liked this scene. The thought that, like, I was watching with my friends, and this is like a good thing and a bad thing watching with other people. One of my friends mentioned just how mad creepy Zemo is going up to the kids with candy. Like that's like little pedo action, and I couldn't unsee that. I was like, no, that is so creepy. Where are the adults here to like? Okay, here's my thought process. When Falcon was talking to the school teacher, they're like, we don't trust outsiders. Fair, makes sense. So why is no one questioning that this outsider is going towards a group of school children and giving them candy? Like, even if you weren't already distrusting of people, that's a very strange action. So I just thought that was a funny thing to point out, though. Again, like his manipulation just was so good. As Lou pointed out, when he said, don't trust these two, I was like, oh no, he's going to double cross them. It's happening right now. And then it didn't. He's really just playing his cards like very, very close to his chest, which makes sense considering like the Dora Milaje they want to murder him. So he needs to kind of, have something up his sleeve to keep himself around. So it absolutely made sense. And I thought it was good once I got past how creepy it was.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just to add just a little bit, he did the kind of the same thing too in the last episode, where it's like, oh my god, Zemo escaped, and then he comes back with this awesome looking car. So we thought, I honestly thought he was gone, but then he came back. So
yeah. So Lou, you mentioned Thunderbolts, and like for those who don't know, Thunderbolts in the comics was a superhero team that once there was a moment in time during the Onslaught crossover and of the 90s that the Avengers, Fantastic Four, disappeared from the Earth, and a new superhero team showed up to sort of restore good faith and be the superhero team. And that was the Thunderbolts, but nobody knew that it was actually led by Zemo, and the team consisted of villains.
A bunch of bad guys.
Yeah, exactly. And
Oh.
yeah, so you mentioned Thunderbolts. Do you think that is what Zemo is up to right now? Is he manipulating his way up to like having his own team of superpowered folks, or like?
I think he is, and I think he's in cahoots with General Thunderbolt Ross.
Okay.
So I think there's something going on between, even like this, the strangeness of Sharon Carter, like what's going on with her.
Right.
Like it's people were like, she's a power broker. I'm like, I don't think she's
That's
a
what I
power broker,
think.
but there's
That's what I
something
said.
happening there. Sorry, go ahead.
I have no
Michelle.
idea what sorry, I got excited. I have no idea who Power Broker is in like the comic books. Like I don't know who it's actually supposed to be, if we know that. But based on the show, I think it's her, because she just seems to have amassed this amount of power and influence just that didn't make sense to me necessarily. When they're like, oh yeah, I got eyes in the sky, I have all these things. I'm like, Sharon, what happened? And I think it could be that she's actually the power broker, which makes me think of Mass Effect, and Liara is the shadow broker. And I'm like, it could be our friend, the lady. So anyone who gets that reference will understand why I think it.
Actually, your point kind of makes sense in a way where, if you think about, I think when John Walker injected, we didn't see it, but I think he injected himself with a super soldier serum. That's when Sharon Carter was able to track him, right? When the eye in the sky, and it was like, oh, John Walker, the new Captain America's coming this way. So so that like rang a bell, like bing, what's going on here?
That might have been a tell. You're right. Wow. I never even considered that, but it makes a whole lot of sense. Absolutely. Wow. All right. I need a moment to process.
We have a
this.
theory.
Wow.
Yay.
Wow. This is the one theory that'll unify us.
Yeah. And
one.
probably more Thunderbolts on Alex Explained. I guess. I don't know. Who knows?
Hey,
probably just
there
Alex.
You go. Possibly. Stay tuned. So next up on the show, we have Falcon talking to Carly, and this is a hard-fought moment because John Walker entered the scene, and he did not want this to play out that way. John Walker was ready to go in, guns a-blazing, fists a-throwing, you know, as we call the John Walker way, and like, it's getting progressively hard for me to stand this guy, especially by the end of this episode.
I was just gonna ask you that.
But it's gonna be it's a hill I'm gonna have to die on since I started climbing that hill. But yeah, it was a great talk. I'll say that much. Falcon had Carly convinced that he was on the level, and it could have worked if it wasn't for Walker's interference. Do the two of you agree?
I thought it was a good conversation between the two of them. I think up to last week's episode, Carly had been a very like sympathetic character. We understand why she's doing what she's doing. I didn't necessarily agree with her methods up until the blowing up of the building and the murdering. So I thought it was really good that Falcon was really still trying to appeal to her humanity, I guess would be a way to describe it. I'm not surprised it didn't go the way they'd wanted, because I think at this point she is too far gone, like past the point of murdering people. I think you're kind of a bad guy now. You're not so much an anti-hero. I don't sympathize with you as much, but I thought the conversation was good. And then John Walker did John Walker stuff, which I'm not surprised about because I've hated him since day one, and I feel validated in my hatred.
So this conversation was really good. Is actually in this episode, it showed me kind of why Sam should have the shield versus it painted a very clear picture on why after this episode John Walker is never gonna hold that shield again, and it should go to Sam. And like, even I sympathize. Everybody has like their own way of getting things done, though, like Michelle said, not the right way, but you kind of feel for it. Like, everybody's heart is in the right place, they're just not doing it. And Sam was gonna get there doing the way Sam would, the way a real Captain America would it. And then here comes this hothead who can't just 10 minutes, that's all. Though I have to point out how he got past Bucky. That was weird.
Yeah.
Like Bucky was stopping him, and then the next scene you kind of see Bucky behind Lamar and John Walker. So yeah, I don't know what that was about, but that felt weird.
I mean, you're absolutely right about Sam Wilson taking that was an approach that Steve Rogers would have taken, just talking to someone who's obviously conflicted, and like Zemo said early in the episode, there has never been another Steve Rogers, but Sam Wilson was proving that like there's someone very close to Steve Rogers, and it's him. And as for John Walker, you know, he's got to get the job done. He's being paid. He's getting paid, you know, a flat rate. He doesn't get paid by the hour. 10 minutes, you know, it's a little too much time. He's got to do what he's good at, or what he thinks he's good at. Like he's like all these mental gymnastics, but like he has to prove himself a competent Captain America, and he hasn't done that on a world stage. And like Carly Morgenthau's name is out in the news, and this is his way of like proving, it's like, hey, look, I'm Captain America. I beat.
He wants to prove it so bad that he deserves Captain America, that it's weighing on him, that he's what's that PTSD is. He has it. He's not mentally stable.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not on Alex's hill, but there was one moment in this episode where for a second I was like, oh, I feel bad for John Walker. And that was when he said something to the effect when his buddy was saying, you have those 3 medals of honor, da 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 da. And he's like, but the things I had to do to get there, I don't feel good about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I actually was like, okay, yeah, no, I kind of like you. And then, you know, things happened. I was like, just kidding. I was right all along. But that moment I thought was really, really important. And it was a notable moment for me, for John Walker in particular.
No, I just want to expound on that. Like you're absolutely right. I'm trying to pull you onto my trolley, but did anybody else notice that like there was a scene? I think when he threw the shield into a wall and it got impaled, and he was walking towards it. He just twitched twice, really quickly.
That's what I was just gonna talk about. He's pushing in some deep anger. Boy's got some issues.
Exactly. No, it's trauma. It's literal PTSD.
PTSD.
He's like, for sure. Yeah, he's mentally unfit, and he's trying to you know, mission accomplish it. Like he's trying to put the stamp. He's trying to win the day, you know, without any casualties. He's trying not to relive what happened in Afghanistan, and unfortunately he did. But we'll get to that part of the episode later, because I'm going to be defending this crazy blood-soaked maniac soon. But first, probably like the coolest action sequence in the entire episode, when the Dora Milaje showed up and said, hey, it's time. 8 hours have passed. We've given you more than 8 hours, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, we're taking Zemo. It's done. And it was a 3 on 4.5 if you count Zemo. Yeah.
He just dipped.
Back the way. Drinking back the way. Yeah. He left. How cool was this? What awesome fight. Yeah.
I loved this fight, and the thing that back from what I just said about John Walker, the thing that once again I was like, ooh, dislike, was he so disrespected these ladies. Like, let's put down the sticks. And I was
I'm
like,
Captain
those
America.
Are spheres of vibranium. Get your head out of your butthole. Like, they made that that shield's made out of the disrespect. So I was happy when they really like showed him who was boss, because that needed to happen. And I'm also going to point out that he realized and he noticed that they're not super soldiers. They don't have the serum. They're just badasses. Like, they don't need it to kick your butt. They're that badass. So put some respect on my Dora Milaje ladies. Put some respect.
Yeah, and that defeat, I think, even triggered him just a little bit more, because when one of those ladies just did that foot thing with a shield to her hand, like like a real Captain America does, and that just killed John Walker's confidence for sure. But that fight scene was amazing. I even like the little scene. You know how I was talking about, just the comedy was just spread out, just very thin, and then you could see Sam and Bucky just kind of talking to John like, it was a little harder than you thought, huh, John? That was an amazing scene. And like also of course Zemo, who like almost as a cartoon character, kind of just like with his tea, just awesome scene. I loved it. Those girls kicked ass, man.
And they even disarmed Bucky, no pun intended, or pun intended. Yeah. His arm fell
they
right
literally
off.
disarmed Bucky.
They disarmed him. Yeah. Poor
I mean, of
Buckster.
course, like it's a fail-safe just in case the Winter Soldier comes back, right? It was really cool. Just like boom.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I know. That was a little on the embarrassing side for him, but yeah, Zemo got away. We didn't see him the rest of the episode, so bravo, Zemo. We'll fist pump in your name. Yeah. So let's head on to the climax of the episode. Carly Morgenthau calls up Sam's sister and sort of puts in a little threat, which was like that was another thing. Like besides the bombing, it's like that's totally unnecessary.
That was a dick move.
You're really pushing the whole thing here. But yeah, they got coordinates for a meeting, and there was a fight that happened in which John Walker's partner Battlestar was killed in action by Carly, and John decided to take it out on one of Carly's followers, sympathizers,
the Captain America fan.
Yeah, the Captain America fan. Yep, and that did not end well. Let's break it down.
Well, I want to go back to that throw into the wall, because that was kind of, I think, the first moment, at least I realized, okay, the serum is happening. We knew he had taken it. We didn't see him inject it, but that's kind of the first time, like my friends and I, we call it the juicy throw, because that was just a juicy throw. So we see that, and then we see that kind of twitch that you guys had mentioned. And right there, I was like, things are about to go so downhill. Because you could already tell, like, it's the start of the fight and he's already kind of coming undone, like he's already unhinged. And then things kind of progress from there, which, was very Homelander, I'd say, because we kind of talked about, like, I think in the first episode when we were introduced to him, like, how long till he goes Homelander? Here it is, episode 4. I thought it was so interesting, like Carly killing Hoskins. I didn't see that coming, honestly. That shocked me. And then her just kind of running away, being like, oh shoot, and then just leaving, like that was unsettling to me, because like I don't know what I wanted from her, because obviously she's like the villain, but she just like ran out, and that was crazy. I'll let you guys kind of say what else you think before we talk about like the shield and all that.
I think the way I looked at the scene when Carly killed him was, I just don't think that they have full control of their super soldier bodies yet. I mean, they've only had it for like a few months, and that scene was really perfect when it was Bucky. That's what I thought exactly when Bucky just came into the room and just kind of disarmed the other guys, right? That dude has experience with this super soldier serum. And the way Carly looked at Lamar when she did that kick, which is like, oh shit, I didn't know it was that hard. To also go back to the shield throwing thing, this was my friend texted me about it. His like, that was like his ticks, his twitches. My friend was saying it seems like he's just an addict. It's almost like maybe they gave him something, because I think we were talking about it in the earlier episodes where we think that he has some super soldier serum in him because of the way he was throwing stuff and the way he survived like falling off a truck. So my friend was like, I think he's just tweaking and maybe just needs his fix. He didn't tell anybody, but he has maybe some super soldier serum in him. That's not the one that they have, because it works permanently. So it was really cool. And also I think that just adds to his mental state, where I think that's his best friend that just got killed, and he just went nuts on him. Like I've never seen. I've seen the only comparison to that is Steve Rogers with Iron Man.
Oh
But
yeah,
instead of the last
right.
hit going to his face, the last hit was just to disarm him. He took out the reactor, and
Right.
that was what real Captain Americas do. This guy just wailed on him till his
Straight up
half a shield was
murdered.
blood. Yeah,
Decapitated
murdered.
or not decapitated?
I don't
What does
know.
everyone say?
Okay, like this is gross, but I'm thinking like reverse curb stomp. So like there. I don't know why. That's what I think. Like, of course, the person who likes the horror stuff thinks of the grossest way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This is something that had been talked about online a little bit, was how sharp is the shield? Like, is it blunt? Did he slice him in half? Did he beat him to death? Like, how actually, like, what's the diameter? Is it a slicing weapon or not? And I just think that's kind of like, we're not going to see the body, so we're not going to know for sure. Like, is it a bludgeon?
They're never going to
skull,
show us that, but
or is it
No.
like slit? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Either way, it's nasty as heck, and I was shocked. Like afterwards, I was like, Marvel, are you okay? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the bloodiest thing I've seen in Marvel that I can remember. Like that
think
felt
so.
like a lot for
Yeah.
Disney and Marvel.
My thoughts actually went through when what was going on with that poor guy's head is one of the I think first episode of Invincible. Oh, sorry, Michelle. If you've not seen it, I'm
not seeing it. I don't think I'm gonna watch it, so like you're fine.
But yeah, the head.
Spoilers.
That's how I think it was episode 1 of Invincible. That's one of the heads that was just like, yeah, you get the point.
Crunchy time.
Yeah, punchy time.
Yeah. But yeah, I was expecting to see a head roll off, but it was probably better that it was just a blood soaked. We got the message, but yeah, like the serum does bring out what is inside of everybody. So Carly is like confused and angry, and that the serum brings that out of her in that sort of way. Like she's bombing places and she's just killing people accidentally. And for John Walker, it's PTSD fueled soldier.
Trauma, here we come.
Just trauma, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we're getting. What do you guys see the next few episodes looking like? There's only 2 left.
I'm excited to see the fallout of everyone recording it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part, because as Alex had kind of insinuated, the episode's what the whole world is watching.
Yeah.
And we really, that is driven home in that final scene where you see that crowd of people all with their phones out, which of course. So I'm really curious what that means. Like, is America going to be like, yo, we need to take the shield from you? And then he rages harder. Like, how's this going to play out? Like, how are the global implications going to play out? And I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be potentially bloodier. I wouldn't think they would do this and then just like pull back again. So we could see like more murder. So yay.
Yeah. All I know is in the next episode is I think John Walker is done being Captain America, though he will be something else like a US agent later on. But for the first time, and actually since WandaVision, I don't want to think about what's going to happen in the next episodes. I want to see it happen. And this is what this show has done. It's like, okay, turn off your brain and just enjoy and think about it later when it's done. I mean, Madripoor was there. I was like, no, X-Men, whatever. But now it's just like, just give me what you got. This is really one of the best Marvel shows out there right now. I can't wait.
Perfect. And with that, I think it's a good time to come to a close.
Wait, Alex,
yes.
what did you think? I want to hear.
What did I think?
Yeah, what do you think?
I believe, you're right. I believe if it was set in reality and the world saw a man in a Captain America uniform kill somebody like a European refugee on camera and that went viral, I honestly believe you would have half the news praising him for, rah, 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 America, and half the news saying, take that shield away from him. He's killing people. He shouldn't be doing that. So I hope that's what I see next week from the fallout. I don't know if, the U.S. is going to recall their John Walker. It's like, hey, come on back. I don't think that's going to happen. And I also don't think John Walker's gonna accept that. I think John's gonna carry on the trail of Carly. The question is, will Falcon and Bucky try to bring him in? Maybe not in front of everyone, but I don't know. The real X factor is what Zemo's doing. That's really what concerns me. Like, how is he going to show up again? Because like he's been consistent. He hates superpowered people, and he's out to get them. And that's all he's been doing. But I honestly would have guessed that he would try to manipulate Carly onto his side, but he's not even about that. It's wild to see that he's just so singularly focused.
Yeah, we know what he wants, and then it's no super soldiers.
Yeah, exactly. And he's probably got the best track record of killing super soldiers. In Civil War, he killed like a handful of them.
Yep.
Yeah, but okay. So now I do think we are coming to a close. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below. Like, subscribe, follow us on our social media platforms, and see you later.
Bye.